Welcome back to Mile High Hoops. Today we're talking about the Sacramento Kings, and as you can see, I did get that app working again. It's called Wonder, by the way, if you were interested. But since I know that Darren Fox is a Dragon Ball Z fan, I decided to make everybody Dragon Ball Z characters. Everybody that could show up on the app, I will say Demonis Sabonis kept popping up as some hot redheaded chick. So, with that being said, hit the like or dislike button, subscribe, comment, and let's get right into it. So, we're going to start with Sabonis here. I'm going to die on the hill of saying that I think trading Tyrese Halliburton for Sabonis was just a bad idea. If anything, I would have tried to get rid of Darren Fox more, but we'll get into that later. So Sabonis last season averaged 19 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, and did that all while shooting terribly from three and pretty dang good from 2-point range at 58%. Shoots free throws pretty averagely at 74%. But I think Sabonis is a good player for the Kings. I mean, he's not the upside that I would have wanted out of someone like Tyrese Halliburton, but as a pick and roll partner and just another operator on the court, I think he does fit well here. He doesn't play great defense. He's not super tall either, but he does run those pick and rolls where, I mean, he's just doing a short little roll and he can make passes out of it. He posts up a good bit, actually, and does a pretty good job of doing it. But he finishes over both hands or both shoulders and can shoot the ball from mid-range pretty well. I thought he was a better three-point shooter than 23%. I think he's usually more around 30-something. But if he could string that back together, that'd be a big boon for this team. As an undersized center that plays mostly power forward and kind of switches back and forth, you'd kind of hope that he could shoot the three a little bit. But he is only 25, so I think he'll be good here for a good while unless they move off of him. So now I'll get to De'Aaron Fox. I've got a lot to say about De'Aaron Fox. I mean, people are really high on him, and I'm not too sure why. I mean, he's crazy fast. Like, we all get that. And he's athletic as hell. But he really can't shoot. He can't shoot from anywhere, basically. I mean, he shot 29% from three last season, and he did average 23 points a game last season. But, I mean, his assist numbers are less than Sabonis's. He does turn the ball over less than Sabonis, but he doesn't really have, like, one of those top-end talents that, like, pushes him over everybody, like, other than the speed. And that will go away pretty quickly, especially as he ages. But he's really got to stand out somewhere, because right now he is basically Colin Sexton without the shooting and just a little bit faster. And Colin Sexton just got paid like $80 million, and De'Aaron's like on like a max. So he really needs to stand out better as like a shooter or as a passer. Preferably if he could get better at both, that'd be great. And especially like at his speed and athleticism, you'd really want him to be like a clamp on defense. And he's like okay on defense, like he's good, but he's not like all NBA level. And with being so athletic and so quick, you would really hope that like your slightly taller point guard would be able to just clamp everybody and have this intense motor on defense too, just switching and digging in passing lanes, going for steals and trying to run in that fast break as much as you can. But I mean, I think De'Aaron's still a good player. I don't think he should be an all-star. I really doubt he will be this season. And unless he can figure out his 3-point shooting or become this like generational assist guy at like even like 8 or 9 assists a game, like I don't think he's gonna be much better than he is right now. And Harrison Barnes at the start of last season was going absolutely ham. I remember at one point he was averaging like 23 points and hitting like 40 something percent of his threes. I mean, he was just lighting it up. And at the end of the season, I mean, he ended up averaging 16 and a half for them, got like 5 rebounds, still shot the ball from three at almost 40%. But I think it was really telling when the Kings traded for Sabonis and never moved off of Barnes that they want to be good. And it's just kind of weird because most of their roster is really young and they're not, I mean, none of the young guys are like that crazy good that I would assume that like hey, let's build this up and try to maybe make the playoffs or something, because at their current state, I mean, there's just too many good teams in the West for this 29-year-old Harrison Barnes to be still on this team. And I think Harrison has been getting better, like, as he's aged so far. And I think his value won't really be as high as it has been last season. I mean, I think he probably will have a season very similar to last year. He might get less touches with, some new additions and everything, but I think they just really need to move off of him unless they're assuming that they're going to start like Fox, Sabonis, Barnes, and their new rookie, which we'll get to him later. But I would just strongly suggest them try to trade him and get some more young pieces on this team. Get some value out of him right now while you can, before things get too dire and then he just leaves in free agency. Now on to Rashawn Holmes. So I actually really like Rashawn Holmes. He finishes pretty much everything near the basket. He rebounds the ball really well. He shoots free throws pretty well for a big guy at 78%. But, he is turning 29 or has already turned 29. And he's just another one of these situations on this team of like this vet that would be actually really valuable to another team, but they're just holding on to him for this hope that they're going to be good. And I could just really see this team like piecing some of these guys out to other teams and acquiring more assets. They don't have to completely tear it down to get some good value out of some of these guys. And I think he's just another guy like Harrison Barnes that just probably should go, just to open up space for younger guys and to add some assets. And Davion Mitchell, I actually really like Davion Mitchell coming into the draft, and I think he did like go to or perform to expectations during the season. He only averaged like 11 points and like five. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong guy. 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and he did shoot the ball at 32% from three. And the field goal percentage was at 42%. Not wonderful, but as a smaller guard, that's a rookie. I think he did pretty well for what they asked of him, and especially as a guy that, even as a rookie, was a really, really staunch defender. On the perimeter, he can keep most guys in front. I remember watching Warriors games against the Kings where, Davion was doing very well against Steph Curry. And Steph Curry's like the best of the best with point guards. And so, if you can hold up against a guy like that, then it really shows a lot of what you can do. The issue I did see, even against a guy like Steph Curry, who everyone would think is soft, was that Steph Curry was able to bully him a little bit. But last year we did see this new bully Steph a little bit. But as far as Davion goes, I think that just him bulking up a little bit and just working on 3-point shooting is his route into staying in the league for a long time. And if he could do both those things, he's such a good defender that if he could just shoot the ball a little bit better, then, I mean, he's going to always have a spot on our roster. And I do need to talk about the fourth pick of the draft. The Kings took Keegan Murray, and he's a 6'8", 21-year-old forward. I kind of feel like he's already pretty much Harrison Barnes. I mean, in the summer league, he got the MVP. He averaged 23 points, 7 rebounds, a couple assists, and a steal. He was 50, 40, 80, so 50% from the field, 40 from the three, and 81 at the line. And so, I mean, already at a 21-year-old, he's pretty much what Harrison Barnes is, I would figure. I mean, it's going to be a little different once he's, like, actually playing against a bunch of NBA players. But I could definitely project him to being around Harrison Barnes' level, like, pretty quickly. There is a bit of a stigma around the league for teams to draft players that are 21 years old or older. It seems like every year we're getting more and more leaning towards like 19-year-old players or younger now that they're talking about like allowing high school to the league again, which I've got no issues with. But for people to say that 21-year-olds can't develop skills the same way a 19-year-old can is just a little dumb to me. I think he's got a lot of room to grow, and I think he will be good. I don't know if I would say that he could be an all-star or anything like that. I definitely haven't seen enough of his game, but definitely another interesting piece to this team, and especially now that they finally got a wing on this team instead of just guarding or drafting guards repeatedly every single year. So there were a couple returning guys this season that are notable, but I think with the length of this already, just get right into some of the new guys. So they did trade for Kevin Huerter, and I think he's just another shooter to put around, I mean, Darren Fox, who's kind of a non-shooter, and Sabonis, who also isn't wonderful outside the three-point line. And so just having another guy out on the wing that can guard ones or twos and threes and can play either position is just another win. He's not wonderful, but he's definitely a good enough shooter to be a good addition here, especially with the amount of like average maybe shooters they have on the team. And then they also added Malik Monk, and Malik Monk was like touted to be a really good player coming out of like the draft a couple years ago or several years ago at this point. But I think his path to success is if he can just continue to shoot the ball well and become a pretty comparable defender. Yeah, but I think Malik Monk is another good fit here. They do have a lot of shorter guards, so Malik will have to be paired with another defensive guard or a good defensive small forward to kind of hide him a little bit. But I think his path to being really good, as long as he can stay like consistent from the three-point line, is if he can just be a decent defender, then everything will work out for him. So I will say that this team does have a lot of depth, though. So they've got multiple point guards, multiple shooting guards, multiple small forwards, mostly power forwards, not really any real centers. But like I was saying before, Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray and Harrison Barnes, most of these wings can all kind of play the 2 through the 4. I mean, will they run that like kind of big small ball lineup? Maybe they could make that work out with like Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Rashawn Holmes, and Sabonis kind of all out there. I mean, they've got a lot of flexibility. But if we get to wins now, they're definitely not going to be a playoff team. They should get a play-in spot, though, because they're going to be better than the Thunder, the Spurs, probably the Rockets. And so 12 is very likely, maybe 11 or 10 if they're doing really well. But I would hope and expect them to probably trade some of these vets off. But we'll have to wait and see. The Kings are just destined to be mid forever, and they always want to get better, even though they never will like look themselves in the mirror and realize that they're just bad and they need to like try to gather assets to improve. But regardless, thanks again for listening. Like or dislike, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And we'll see you in the next one, hopefully tomorrow. And you take care.